Okay, taking a look at 20 ISOs number 3 in the coloring here. First thing that we want to do before we do anything else, before we start modeling or going to the 3D model panel or thinking about extrusions, is we should actually think about how we're going to do this. So get an idea for what the 3D model looks like and then work from there. So the first thing that I like to do is get an idea of the dimensions of the drawing, because we're going to need those numbers anyway. 1 2 3 4 5 for the height, go across 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 across, and then 1 2 3 4 5 units deep, so that is 5 by 8 by 5. Now on the inside it looks like that we could create a box and then cut, but there's this extra part sticking out, almost like a little cube. So we could cut a part out and then add that part back, but that doesn't really seem like it's a good, smart way to do things. It seems like it's a way to do things, but I think there's a faster way. Because if you have to cut something out and then add it back in, there is probably a way to just not have to redo the steps that you were going to do. So if you're thinking about like cutting out a big part and then adding that part back in, also think about how are you going to add it back? Are you going to extrude on a sketch on a diagonal surface? I don't know, it just seems like it's going to be a little interesting if you do it that way. Not saying that it can't be done. I'm just saying that there's probably a better way. So I think what we're going to do is we're going to base this on um, one cut and some chamfers. And the one cut that we're going to do is we're going to cut out this rectangle that starts about right here, and we're going to cut this part out. Is what we're going to do. So all of this, whenever we make our big block, we're going to cut this part out, and then we're just going to chamfer the rest. We'll get the dimensions for the chamfer later, so let's make our rectangle first. It's 8 by 5, and I'm probably going to forget those numbers by the time I create my document. We'll see if I do or don't. Go back over here, create a new document. Let's call it 20 ISOs number 3. 8 by 5, 8 by 5, 8 by 5, 8 by 5, 8 by 5. Create a new sketch. We're going to click on the top. You don't have to move over to the top view if you don't want to. It just makes my life a little bit easier. So I'm going to create a rectangle, and it's going to be 8 by 5. So 8, enter, 5, enter. Finish my sketch, and then check it, make sure it looks okay. And it looks about like an 8 by 5 rectangle. And then it's 8 by 5 by 5 high. So I'm going to, when I extrude, let's go ahead and make this 5 inches high. We're going to click OK. So we should have a block that's 5 high, 5 deep, and 8 wide. Double check. 5 high, 8 deep, 5 wide. Looks good. Okay, now let's talk about what we're going to cut out. Let's cut out this rectangle right here. And that's 2 squares high. Yeah, because the bottom is 3, so 3 plus 2 makes 5. So the cut is going to be 2 high. And here's where we end. So it's 1, 2, 3. 3 across. And hopefully you guys can see that that actually makes a rectangle in the plane that we're going to be cutting. So we're going to make a 3-inch by 2-inch, or a 3 unit by 2 unit, whatever units you're using, rectangle, and then we're going to cut it. So back to OnShape, we're going to go to the front view, and we're going to create a new sketch. On the front view, I'm going to create a rectangle, and it's going to be, go ahead and start in that top corner, drag out, and then click to finish to solidify the rectangle. Then we can type in the units. It looks like it came with the width first, so I believe that the width was 3 and the height was 2. I can go back and double check that. It's probably a good idea. Yeah, 3 wide, 2 high, 3 wide, 2 high. Finish our sketch and go back to our front view. Close. Click. There we go. And we're going to use the extrude button, but we're going to use remove now. So we're going to use remove, and we're going to click on this rectangle and just drag it past the point to where you don't have anything. You can also type in the exact dimension. Sometimes if people type in the exact dimension, they might have like a little sliver hanging out on the other side. That's usually just because you didn't exactly use the depth of 5. So if you just drag that arrow and just drag it all the way, it should handle cutting the entire surface for you. I'm going to click OK, and we have a little notch cut out of it. We're not quite there yet. We're close, but we're not quite there. I'm going to go back. We're going to see what we need to chamfer. We're going to use a 2-directional chamfer again. And since this part is already like notched out, I'm going to use that to my advantage, because this notch is going to be exactly the same. It's 3 squares down and 3 squares across. Looks like the two numbers are exactly the same. What about up here on this part? So would this also be 3 down? It looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, but when I look down here, I see 1, 2. Oh, sorry, that's 2 down, 2 units down, and 2 units across. So it's the same distance in the X and Y direction. So in this case, we don't need to use a 2-directional chamfer. I thought we were, but it doesn't seem like that's going to be the case this time. Let's go back and we can just use 1 direction. So when we use a 1-direction chamfer, we're going to run into a slight problem, and I'll show you what it is. So when we click on our chamfer, we can click, let's see, this is going to be 2 units and 2 units, I believe. So we're going to go 2 units, equal distance, and I'm going to click on this edge. There we go. We have our slide that goes down. We're going to click OK. But if I try to chamfer this bottom part without having a sketch on here to limit where we're going, whenever I click on this chamfer and I try the same thing and be like, oh yeah, let's just do this, it's going to be 3 units down. Whenever I click on this, look, it chamfers the whole thing. That's not what I want to do. So if it's not what I want to do, I'm going to click that red X to undo it. So I'm going to just need to add a rectangle that cuts this in half. These dots are automatically at the halfway point. So when I create a sketch, I'm going to create a sketch on this middle part right here. And I'm going to go to my top view, and we're going to click create rectangle, and then we're going to go down to that halfway point. We don't actually have to type in the numbers this time. They can snap into place, and it looks like it snaps in a 3 and 2.5. And I'm just going to click that and click finish sketch. Okay, let's go back to our view, see if we can get this to work. Now, we've put in an edge right here. See how now I can click on either this edge, or I can also click on this edge, hopefully. Let's find out. So I'm going to click chamfer, and I'm going to just click on this edge. Nope, still wanting to do the whole thing. Unfortunate. Very unfortunate. Okay, well, my chamfer did not work. So at this point, I'm not going to give up entirely. I'm just going to say, well, I don't want to chamfer the whole thing. So instead of using the chamfer button for this bottom part, why don't we just use a cut instead? I know that it's going to be going down the exact same line. So instead of doing a chamfer, let's make a triangle. So my first plan didn't work, but that's okay. We can go for plan B. And what we're going to do now is we're going to create a sketch and create it on this plane right here. So if here's your shape, create your sketch on this side of the ISO. And then we're just going to make a triangle. So I'm going to make a triangle that goes from here all the way down. And then go ahead and finish the triangle, even though the shape is still, you can see the shape. Go ahead and finish the triangle anyway, because you need the whole sketch in order to be able to make this cut. So when you move your mouse in there, you should be able to see the outline of a triangle. If you don't see an outline of a triangle, it's because you didn't, you only just put the line, which is very, very common for people to do. Make sure that you put in the whole sketch. So then I'm going to click extrude, and I'm going to click inside the triangle. Instead of adding, I'm going to click remove, and we want to go into the halfway point, which looks like it's going to be 2.5 inches. And then I'll click OK. And then here we go. We now have our shape. Okay, so This one is ISO 3 out of 20. Good job.